Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to MindShifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce.
To the brightness within you, and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to our show. This is MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, and that's Dr. Michael Ryce. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. Press 1 to be put in the queue to talk to Michael. And welcome to the show. Today is our 234th day of celebrating Memorial Day. Hello, Michael.
Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to be here. Nice to have you with us. A privilege to be able to support you in learning the ancient process of forgiveness. And for those who are new to the show, we issue an invitation each day, and the invitation is that you become one of the team that changed the world by putting an end to war on planet Earth. And, of course, how do we put an end to war on planet Earth? Well, what you do is you take responsibility for what's happening in your life instead of finding somebody else to blame, and you change the content of your mind. Well, how do you do that? The process is called forgiveness. In the ancient Aramaic, it is an internal process, not the game that we've been taught by the Greeks, that forgiveness is, you did something really terrible that caused all this pain inside of me, but it's okay, I'll forgive you. It has nothing to do with forgiveness, nothing whatsoever. And so what we're looking to do is to actually bring forward the original Aramaic idea of forgiveness, which is the tool with which you go inside yourself and change the contents of your mind. So we're going to invite you today to be willing to look at least one issue in your life, one situation where there's some form of hostility or fear that perhaps you're blaming somebody else or blaming yourself for. And we're going to invite you to change that dynamic within yourself by forgiving. Now, how do you forgive? That becomes the big question because, of course, if you're used to letting other people off the hook, you know that you get to live the title of my book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? You get to do it over and over and over again because until that content's gone, it's going to play out in our lives. We're going to find somebody to blame and somebody else whose fault it is that we're feeling the way we're feeling. And so what we're inviting you to do is to go to our website. It's a freebie. Please just download. You can download the whole book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And on the right-hand side of the website, which is whyagain.com, that's why again, whyagain.com. On the right-hand side, there's a link that says Download Worksheets. And there's actually a brand new worksheet up. Is the worksheet on the site, Jeanie, from this morning?
It is. Yes, it is.
Awesome. You're so fast. Anyway, we updated the worksheet. We had some feedback yesterday from, my brain. Magda. Excuse me, Magda, if you're listening. And so we've got a change in the worksheet, and so we'll see the first new version of 2012. And actually, there are some other updates that were put in the sheet a few weeks ago, but I hadn't sent them to the site. So there's a new worksheet there, which straightens out some of the complexities of the previous version. So we invite you to go to that link, and actually there are 4 links there. The first 4 links under the section Download Worksheets, you'll find chapter 24 of my book. You'll find the actual worksheet itself. That's the second link. The third and the fourth links are radio shows where we've guided someone, so you've got a personal guidance system through the whole process. You can right-click on those two links for the radio shows and save it to your computer, and you can listen to it as you're doing your worksheet. Listen, and it will guide you through the whole process step by step. There are some minor differences with the new worksheet, but they're pretty intuitive, so I don't think you'll have a problem with that. So that's our invitation to you, and it's time for us to make a shift on planet Earth. Time for us to actually learn to be responsible for what's going on inside of us, instead of pretending everything that's happening inside of us is everybody else's fault. And so welcome to the show. Jeanie, do we have any callers? Dr. Tim with us? David with us? Anything happening in the chat room?
The chat room is actually only has one person, so I don't know if people need to refresh their browsers, because this is very unusual to only have one in the chat room. So hit your refresh, see if there's an issue, if you're having difficulty getting in. On the switchboard, we have several people listening. Tim is not with us. David is on.
Cool. Any callers at this point? Any questions or hands up in the phone room?
No.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, David, how do you be this morning, sir? Or this afternoon, pardon me.
I'm doing well, Michael. Full day here at Atlanta. Sunshiny. Temperatures about 20 degrees. Just a beautiful, clear day here at Heartland.
Wonderful. Well, it's a pretty nice day in Florida, too. And let's plan to get together on the phone right after the show, David, if you would. And we'll make that other call that we were talking about today. And other than that, forgiveness. If you have a question for us, and we would love to hear your questions, if you dial in at 646-200-4169, and if you hit 1, that'll put you in the queue to ask a question. And it's always interesting how people maybe kind of tend to get a little bit shy when they get on the radio, but let go of your shyness, do a worksheet on that, and call us, ask your question. I find that virtually everybody, when I do a live workshop afterward, really wants to do a personal question. And so here's a chance to do your personal question. And, of course, the show always gets much more lively when we've got somebody asking questions and we're looking at this internal process of forgiveness, the reality management process, and how you change the content of your mind. We have a series of workshops that will be starting. Tonight, I'll be at the Heart Painter Studio. If you're in South Florida, I'll be at the Heart Painter Studio in Boca Raton. You can go to heartpainter.com for directions. And 5 o'clock, we're going to do a worksheet session with a group of folks at the Heart Painter Studio in Boca, so you'd be welcome to join us. And then we will be heading Saturday to Sarasota, Florida, and at Unity of Sarasota, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, not Saturday, cancel that, start over. This Sunday. I'll be heading there Saturday, but on Sunday we'll begin with Why Is This Happening to Me Again Sunday afternoon. The flyer's on the website under travel schedule. So we'll be doing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then all day Saturday, MindShifters and Still Point Breathing. And the workshops that we'll be doing in Sarasota, of course, start out with Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And it'll be from 1:30 to 5. And then on Monday, we're doing Purpose, Personal Power.
You're skipping Monday.
Oh, okay. My calendar. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Excuse me. Thanks for catching that. Tuesday, the 24th, we'll do Purpose, Personal Power, and Commitment. Wednesday, the 25th, we'll do the Circle of Life and How to Play It. Thursday, the 26th, we'll do Getting the Stress You Need. And Friday, we'll do Communication. Did you hear what I think I said? They'll all be free open workshops. Please come and join us if you're in Sarasota. If you're up there in that icy, cold, frozen north and you want to fly down for a week, come and fly down and spend it with us. That'll be each evening. And then on Saturday, it's the only workshop we do charge a fee for. Saturday morning, about 8 o'clock, we'll start with MindShifters and Still Point Breathing. And then there's going to be a little bit of writing time. And on the 12th of February, will be at Harmony Spiritual Center in Tampa, and we'll be doing a full week there, Sunday through Saturday. And there we'll be doing 2 to 5:30. Why is this happening to me again on the 12th of February? And Purpose, Personal Power, and Commitment on Monday, Circle of Life on Tuesday, Getting the Stress You Need on Thursday, a lesson from the Course in Miracles, What is the World, on Thursday, Friday, communication. Did you hear what I think I said? And then Saturday, MindShifters and Still Point Breathing. And then we jump over to Ocala. We'll be at Unity of Ocala doing a week of workshops there. So come and join us. And we're actually talking with some folks about doing something just down the road from Ocala in the Villages the week of the 26th of February. So that's what we're in the process of doing, and we'll probably be back over on the east coast of Florida in Boca Raton at the Science of Mind Center in Boca the first or second week of March. We're just looking at dates there, and then April the 6th we'll begin a Florida intensive, 9 days of sun and fun and healing at a really awesome, beautiful big house that we've got for the intensive on Palm Coast, which is right on the intercoastal, between the intercoastal and the ocean, just south of St. Augustine, Florida. So that's where we'll be doing the 6th of April. Should be an absolutely beautiful week. We'll start on Good Friday, which will be a fabulous time to be opening and resurrecting from the old hostility and fear game into a different game. And so that's what we'll be doing. And then, of course, on to Heartland for our intensive season in Heartland. So if anybody's interested in joining us, we'd be delighted for you to come and join us. Or if you're up north, come and spend a week. It'll change your life. Jeanie, anything happening in the chat room? Questions? Is your mute button on, sweetie?
It was.
I know, I do that all the time.
Yeah. So Tim is in the chat room. Let's see if he's on the switchboard. He is on the switchboard now. Welcome, Tim. We haven't seen you in a while. And we do have a couple of hands up in the switchboard.
Excuse me, there is a hand up in the switchboard, you
There's
say,
two hands up in the switchboard, and Tim is now on the switchboard as well.
Well, let's do a quick welcome to Tim and ask him how the support group went last night.
Well, good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon,
we
sir.
Slipped into the afternoon here. The support group was wonderful. We had some icy, snowy weather, and so we only had 12 people show up instead of the usual 8 show up instead of the usual 12 or 14, but it was a very good group, and we watched the first part of A New Beginning from A Course in Miracles and started working with people, helping them understand how that is a tool to use throughout the day to ask what kind of day would I like to have, and whenever I start to experience something other than that, I take myself out of the picture and decide not to make any decisions alone. And I ask for help to be shown how to have the kind of day that I said I wanted. And then I did a worksheet, and we had several new people there who'd never seen a worksheet done before. So we worked through the worksheet process, and people were very, very pleased with that and got some insights. And again, do a group, join a group, start a group. You just can't beat it for support and love and learning. That was my short intro. Did we lose everybody?
It was really fun. On Sunday, we did a spontaneous group. I'd actually gone up to Boca, and some folks were at the church that I went to there, and they were like, well, tell me about this forgiveness stuff. So we went out for lunch, and we did a little chat about that. And they were like, okay, well, we're going to go back and download worksheets and do them, and got a text about 45 minutes later saying, how do I do this? So we ended up with a half a dozen people coming together kind of spontaneously and did a worksheet session. And that was awesome. The kind of shifts and breakthroughs that were happening were just, it's monumental when a group of people come together and really, truly step into the forgiveness process.
Well, and often in a group like ours, we hear people say, and this happened again last night, oh my gosh, I'm feeling this disruption in my back and my stomach and my head, and I thought I had worked through all these issues, and listening to you do your worksheet stirred up all of this stuff for me about issues I thought I'd resolved years ago. And so it's very nice to be able to open people to the idea that what they thought they had really released, they've really denied and suppressed. And the reason that's nice is because now there's an awareness that the problem is there, and there are tools for dismantling it. So,
right.
Very nice.
Absolutely. And so the tools are on the website. You're welcome to go and download them. Of course, we do have DVDs and CDs, and actually CDs of 5 of the workshops, and then DVDs of 15 different workshops if you're looking for more instruction on each of the tools. And each workshop gives a different tool. For instance, why is this happening to me again is the Aramaic forgiveness process. And, of course, someone who never learns to forgive, someone who just pardons in place of forgiveness, goes around telling everybody how they forgive them. I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. Of course, is not doing forgiveness work. They're doing pardoning, which is a nice thing to do, to let somebody off the hook. But it doesn't change the content of your mind. And forgiveness, nobody ever told us that forgiveness was about deleting content from your mind. It wasn't about letting other people off the hook because that content was there. And so we're here to support you in doing that, and welcome, welcome, welcome. And so, Jeanie, let's talk to a caller and see what we've got.
Great. There's one that has hung up, so if you'll call back in, but the one that is still on there is from Florida. Area code 954. You're on the air.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Jeanie. It's Evelyn at the Heart Painter. How are you?
Welcome to the show. I'm very well, thank you.
How are you?
How are your workshops going?
Oh, they're going. It's quite an interesting process. I think I can do one on everything. And then I was talking to someone today about it, and she goes, I said, I got to do a worksheet on the fact that I moved to Florida. And she said, yeah, that's not generational. And so I don't know. Is it? I mean, is that the wrong thing to do a worksheet on?
No, anything that can take you out of that connected space of love is perfectly appropriate. And everything isn't necessarily generational, although there tends to be a link into the generations. I know that I was doing some work with a young woman the other day, and she was sharing, and we did talk about this a little bit, but she could trace back 3 generations of parents who left their children behind in another country when they left the country. And here she was lamenting and in pain about the fact that she had left her child in another country and then had immigration difficulties and couldn't leave the U.S. to get back to her child. And actually and she shared it with everybody on the show. It's Nene, and she's actually in South America right now with her daughter. Last year when she started doing this work, last January 2nd, she came to her first Y workshop. It was impossible for her to get to see her daughter. And it's an issue she's worked on and worked on and worked on, and all of a sudden everything just gels and falls in place, and she's down there right now visiting with her, and I've gotten a couple of reports back that they're sitting doing worksheets together, and she is so delighted that she's able to share this tool with her daughter and to move through the issues of life. It's awesome.
How lovely. That's great. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I have other questions.
Go for it.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe later at the studio you can talk about the butterfly story. I'm dying to know what that is. On the worksheet it says rose and butterfly story. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Well, it's a story that I tell in the Why Is This Happening to Me Gun workshop, and it's perfect to fit in here, where we, imagine that you have a rose and a butterfly, that you give each of them an ego, and they meet and they fall in love, and they have this wonderful time together, but one day the butterfly up and flies away. The rose, knowing that the love of the butterfly is more important, uproots itself to give chase. What happens to the rose?
Dies.
It dies. And so when we make anything, the point being that if we make any goal, at that stage in the worksheet, you're identifying goals. If you make any goal more important or worth giving up your connection to love, you literally initiate your own death. And that's why you can do a worksheet on any person, place, thing, or event, past, present, future, living or dead, including yourself, over which you tend to disconnect from the physical experience of the presence of love, which is what you're designed to experience.
Oh, wow. I must have missed that story when you were doing that story. Oh, wow. That's fabulous.
And it's on the website. You can download it at whyagain.com/share.php. That's share.php. And it's out there.
Great.
So the whole idea being that the number one order of business for a human being, if they want to stay sane, if they want to live in truth, is that they have to stay connected to love. The minute that we disconnect, the minute we go into any form of hostility or fear, we disconnect from truth, and then we make up all kinds of things with which to bully ourselves and other people, with which to create drama and trauma. And as that old adage went, it's much ado about nothing, because if you go back and connect to Source, there's no reason to do all that stuff. It's like it's gone. And when we're living, and our definition of a human life is just hold a newborn child, when we're living in our newbornness, in our actual human lives, there's no way to give up the presence of love. It's the stuff we're made of. And we come into the world, and the world starts to pound in on us with its hostility and fear, removing us from our created essence and teaching us that all kinds of things are more important. Price of bread goes up a nickel. People go into a rage. So you give up your human life for a nickel over a loaf of bread? It's like, once we're taught to do that, and or if we have the genetics to do that, then any excuse will do to give up and to tie into or to go back into the hostility and fear. And the whole idea of forgiveness is literally to get to the point where you no longer even have the capacity. Imagine the worst thing you could imagine happening, and you no longer have the capacity to go into any form of hostility or fear. You simply function as a human being. You make choices, you have options, and you have power when you're living as a human being. When we're disconnected from Source, all we have is the ability to replicate whatever's gone on in the past generations. And when we replicate it, we oftentimes kick ourselves because it's like, oh, my God, that sure didn't serve me. But choice is gone if we lose our human lives, if we are out of touch with who we are as human beings. And so what the focus of our work is, and the reason that we do what we do, is to restore human life to planet Earth, to every mind, heart, and being on the planet. That's what we're looking to do.
Beautiful.
If you think about, times, and of course this is an invitation to anybody on the show, you think about times when, relationships have gone crazy and, relationships end, et cetera, or appear to end. What state were you in? Every time it's always some form of hostility or fear.
Right.
And we've made some goal more important than living as human beings. The specialty of the world is to separate us from each other with some form of hostility, fear, or judgment, to make somebody else wrong so that we can be right, and then the crazy time begins.
So it's the goal that takes us out of being the true humans we're supposed to be.
Well, it's actually just a slight refinement. It's actually the content of our genetics and of our minds, and the goal is what accesses or recruits that part of our genetics or our minds to take us out of love. But it's the content that's there, and the whole idea of forgiveness is that when you can open the barrier under which we hide the hostility, the fear, and the pain, and expose it to love, it begins to dissolve. And so that's where the canceling of the goal, where the Aramaic word forgive is shabag, where the canceling of the goal cracks open that dissociated mind and gives us access to things that otherwise we don't have access to.
And that's what the worksheet's doing. Mm-hmm.
Say again?
Yeah, and that's what the worksheet does, make you see that.
That's exactly what it's doing, is to open that dissociated state and removing what has defined us. Because once we hide something from ourselves, whenever we're in that particular circumstance or situation, that's what's going to define us. That's what's going to run us.
Mm. Thank you, Michael. I have to go. I have somebody at the studio, so I'm going to see you later at 5. I so look forward to it. Thank you. Thanks for clearing that up for me.
At 5 o'clock. Absolutely delighted. Blessings. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, sweetie.
And so 5 o'clock, we'll be at the Heart Painter Studio. It's in Royal Palm Plaza, just I believe it's south of Meisner Plaza, US 1, Federal Highway in Boca Raton. Go to theheartpainter.com to get directions. It's kind of back in a back passageway, so it's a little bit awkward to find. There's a jewelry store. I forget the name of the jewelry store right out front of it, and it's on the back side of that jewelry store. So anyway, if you go to heartpainter.com, they'll give you the directions on exactly how to get to the Heart Painter for 5 o'clock tonight. And Evelyn's got some awesome art in there, heart art, and does some really fabulous work with her art, too.
We do have another caller.
Awesome.
Area code 541, you're on the air. Who do we have?
Hi, it's Julie. Hello there.
Welcome to the show, Julie. How are you, young lady?
Well, I'm on a low, kind of, and I think I know what to do. I was happy and high yesterday, and this is one of these things that people can label. People get labeled as manic depressive, you know? I know that I've had that thought myself, but I'm not. Okay, here's what's going on. And yesterday I was just so excited at the end of the show about how many millions of creative inputs have come in to get us to where we are today. And, you know, I was remembering a quote by Isaac Newton. I think he said, I stand on the shoulders of giants, you know, and how we're kind of like leapfrogging each other, you know, like one of us gains some ground and it helps boost another person, and then that frog gets in front and another one comes from behind and says thank you, and now here's where I am, and it's wondrous, and I'm in a quandary. I do have a question.
You know, one of the thoughts that you bring forward as you speak about that quote of we stand on the shoulders of giants, that's true. We do stand on the shoulders of giants, but when the stress is up and the chips are down, we're controlled by the midgets. Almost.
Yeah. Wow. I think I get that, like the little things that hold us back and yank on us.
Say it again, Julie.
I think I get that. What you mean by the midgets are the little things that control us and yank us back all the time, yank us around until we address them, you know. So, are you trying to adjust your microphone?
Yeah, it's crackling really bad.
I don't know whether it's from my end or what.
Oh.
Well, I muted everybody else, so it has to be you or Julie one, because I put everybody else on mute trying to get rid of the sound.
Is it still doing
that?
Okay,
I'll stop moving, because I was moving around. It could be me, even though I was hearing it. But so here is my thing. I don't know. You know, it seems like a giant, but it's a midget. I don't know. What's up for me is my partner Ed is going through needing to be a lot in silence and do a lot of inner work for healing purposes, and it feels like separation to me. I'm getting triggered on a couple of levels, and he's not casting me out, but I'm trying to respect his process and not need him as an addiction to comfort me in my world, okay? So that means that I get to feel the feelings of not being able to have my addiction with him. And it goes back to how I felt when my parents were divorcing, and it was, I was always trying to, fix it, and so here I am trying to fix what Ed's going through, and so I know that that's what's resonating, and I can do some worksheets on it, and I guess if I do, I'll be more available to him in a better way than, my own fears, So, I'm afraid of losing him and all of that stuff.
Right. It sounds like a lot of grief over loss that probably ties back into the loss of your family, and perhaps that's something you never grieved. And so I'd suggest some worksheets on loss of family and your parents divorcing and what happened in your life at that time. Probably several significant worksheets there to do. And as you do that, then you'll stand as a space of clarity in what's happening in your current relationship.
Okay, that's good. I never thought of that as simple and obvious as that is. Thank you. And the other thing is this whole thing of being a caregiver, because that's what I ended up doing, the role I played in order to try to fix everything, is trying to help all the distress in each parent's individual, scenario. And it was just, it didn't take care of me at all. So I feel the same need to, stop taking care of Ed, not that I am even, but in my mind, I should, and I'm feeling guilty if I don't, and that's from parent stuff too. So it
sounds like maybe some worksheets on abandonment would be appropriate.
Okay, abandonment. Thank you. I'm writing it down.
I'd be looking at abandonment issues and letting loose of that, and then, maybe yourself. Did you abandon yourself when your parents went through that divorce? And, the guilt about abandoning. And is there a part of you that is abandoning or wants to abandon Ed? And instead of be there as support, maybe some fear about what he's going through. So there's probably some worksheets on fear around Ed's process. So all of those things would be.
We both have this thing of taking care of others, so we probably do feel like we're abandoning each other. In the need to do the corrective work, it looks like we're abandoning each other.
And are you breathing?
Yeah.
I noticed that yesterday, and just for everybody's sake in understanding the process, yesterday you had a new level of enthusiasm and excitement and aliveness. And when you do that, in order to fully embody that new level, everything unlike that new level has to surface for healing. And so it's going to mean cleaning out the generations. That old story of the Jews wandering in the desert for 40 years, and that the old generation had to die off to get out of the desert. The root of that word generation is Janari, and when they said the old generation had to die off, they weren't talking about old physical bodies dying. They were talking about removing the causes that kept us in a state of unconsciousness. Obviously in your conscious state, you would choose to be there as a state of love for yourself and for Ed, but there's some old causes in your mind that tear you out of that. And that's where the forgiveness work applies. And as you remove those old causes, then they no longer control you. What controls you is your choices.
Is my what?
what controls you then is your choices. I say I want to do this, but if my carbon-based memory is going in a totally different direction, if there are old causes that say, no, that's dangerous, I'm out of here, then I'm going to tend to lose control. I'm going to tend to lose choice, and the old generations are going to take over.
Oh. Okay. That's right. And it's really critical that I don't lose it right now.
Well, and notice where your non-being mind goes is into not losing it, which means your focus is in losing it, right? So what is it really critical that you do?
The worksheet.
Yeah, it's really critical that you do your work and maintain your presence as a human life, and you maintain your choices. And, that trickster, if you look at every indigenous culture, they all had the trickster, the joker, the fox, the sly one. And this sly mind can make it look like, well, I really don't want to do this as being a good thing. And yet, when I'm focused on I really don't want to do this, my creatorship is now engaged in creating this, whatever the this is, the thing I don't want to be doing. So retraining yourself to really be conscious and keep going back to, here's what I really want to create, here's what my life is really about, becomes of key importance.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Boy, there are zillions of worksheets around that, too. What I want.
Welcome to the human race.
Huh?
Welcome to the human race.
Yeah, I shouldn't say zillions. I think I'll just say 7 times 70 or something like that. A number I can handle.
Right, exactly, for sure.
Mm-hmm. But I appreciate you reminding me that when we get to the new level of vitality, that what doesn't belong at that level comes up to be healed or released or forgiven. So that's what it is then. Because I get excited about how I can see my life can be. I see clearly, and then stuff comes up. So instead of letting it block me, I can see the opportunity of it to heal.
Exactly, and move through the next layer. And perhaps Ed has got some similar layers. Is Ed doing worksheets at this point?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I would strongly urge that if you're doing the physical detox that Ed's doing, he really needs to do the mental, emotional at the same time. Or it's kind of like, I've got this wonderful Ferrari I'm driving, and I'm working to win the race, but I'm going to keep the handbrake on.
Yeah. Wow.
So if I'm carrying this mental, emotional load that I don't want to deal with, and I'm trying to physically detox, I'm not going to be fully successful because I'm keeping this load, this weight on my shoulders of the things I'm not willing to forgive. As you detox, you will open parts of your mind that you perhaps have never seen before. Mm-hmm. And when you can own those parts of your mind and let them loose, cleaning up the generations, then you get to be free of it. But if you don't do that aspect of it, it's definitely more difficult.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. That's the whole key that this work is. Is to do this work that unlocks it and helps us look at it with love. So, what about hypnosis?
What about hypnosis? That you mean like most of the culture's hypnotized, and when the master said transcend, they were saying put an end to the state of trance, get out of hypnosis? Yes, we are hypnotized by our hostility, our fear, our rage, our grief, our pain, our abandonment. We're hypnotized by that, and notice that we make a choice. Okay, I choose to treat you lovingly, gently, and with respect. That's what I'm going to do. And then those brain cells of hostility or fear fire, and all of a sudden, I'm puking on you. I'm hypnotized by that hostility. And so when the Master said transcend, they weren't saying go out and get yourself hypnotized. They were saying get out of hypnosis. The worksheet is how to get out of hypnosis, to end the trance state. Most people live in a trance most of their lives. One of my original mentors, one of his favorite sayings was that 1 million people live and die every century and never even known that they've lived. If we never wake up from the hostility and fear-based non-being self, we're not alive. We're dead. Yeshua said, let the dead bury the dead. That's what he was talking about, those who live in hostility or fear. And, people can find any kind of reason to live in hostility or fear if it's in their minds. They'll say, I'm in hostility or fear because of what you did, or because of what you didn't do, or because of what he or they did. I'm in hostility or fear because of what I think somebody on the other side of the planet did. I'm in hostility or fear because of what I did. No. If you're in hostility or fear, you're in hostility or fear because that's within you. I'm in hostility or fear because you don't believe the same things I do. No, you're not in hostility or fear because I don't believe the same things you do. You're in hostility or fear because there's hostility or fear in you. You want to measure up to the first law, then you got to dump the hostility and fear. You got to come back to a human life and live first law, first order of business. Forget the rest of it. People go on these convoluted theological journeys through their own hostilities and fears, and the hostilities and fears of the generations that went before them who did not meet the criteria of living human lives and made up all kinds of hostility and fear-based stuff that is irrelevant to the first law and irrelevant to the whole game. But when we've got rationalizations that keep us stuck in that hypnotic state, are we hypnotized? And the atrocities we'll commit are just the same atrocities that have been done in previous generations. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, I'm taking notes too. When you go to see a hypnotist and they maybe get you into this, some of the unconscious, it's still not a quick fix. I mean, then it can stir things up and bring things to your awareness, but there still needs to be the tool of removing it.
It takes the willingness to do the work, to step, put the pen on the paper, and to remove the hostility or fear-based mind, and literally coming to the point, and that's one of the new steps in the worksheet, is asking for support in letting go of your very capacity to generate any form of hostility or fear. Now, the average person goes, well, gee, if I'm in this situation and I don't have hostility or fear, what am I going to do? They'll get me. It's like, no, I promise you'll be 1,000 times more intelligent, 1,000 times more tuned in, and 1,000 times more capable if you're connected as a human being living as love with choices. You'll be far better equipped than the hostility or fear-based mind would equip you and pretend that now it's your friend and it's got it made. Like, who told you hostility and fear was your friend? It's not. It's a destroyer of life. All of it. Well, yeah, but what about this situation? No, all of it. Well, but then how would I survive if I didn't have my hostility when it comes to this? You'd survive 1,000 times more powerfully and 1,000 times better as a human being with choice made of love than you will as a non-human functioning out of old generational hostilities and fears. Absolutely promise that you will.
Yeah, so the functioning, I think, I have to learn how to function, I think, with getting through when I'm having the highs and I'm feeling the relief and I can see the bigger picture and I'm feeling love and I have new choices. And then more stuff comes up to be healed. That's what I am needing to learn to manage. I sound like an ego almost right now, trying to control the process so it doesn't have to be more than I can handle. But But if I just remember that I'm in charge, my being is in charge, and just keep willingness, I guess, in the forefront. And for whatever comes, it's really, I can't be in control of any of it. It just comes by my commitment and my willingness. And then if I can recognize how to just keep moving through it, I think that's the whole key, is keep with it. Not blocking
right on track. Got it.
Yeah, okay. So it's actually exciting in that sense. It's a powerful way to be comfortable with the discomfort that can be there for the ego of the unknown. In other words, the unknown is friendly when it's with love. I guess is what I'm saying.
We hold the space, young lady.
Mm-hmm.
And is Ed there?
No, he's not, but I will be going over to see him.
Okay, well, tell him we embrace him in our hearts.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, I will.
All right. Anything else we can do to support you today?
I'm good, thank you. I mean, yes, you
awesome.
have incredibly. You gave me lots. Thank you.
Blessings. We hold you in our hearts. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay.
The caller?
Someone in the chat. Excuse me, my throat's not acting right. Somebody in the chat room asked a question, and it says, Michael, what is your opinion or experience with EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique? One of the major teachers was Gary Craig. Now it's very popular. Some people claim to get good results. And, of course, Tim came in and said, this is Dr. Tim, and I teach it to any of my clients who are willing to learn it. It's good as far as it goes, and if used in conjunction with Michael's worksheet process, it can be a very useful aid. So perhaps you want Dr. Tim to comment on that, or you want to comment on that?
Yeah, many people over the years that I've run into have found it to be a wonderful adjunct to the worksheet process and fits hand in glove with it. And, it's like there's no tool that we teach that's meant to exclude any other tool. It's like every tool you can put your hands on, use all of the above. And, sure, I'd love to hear some thoughts from Dr. Tim on using the EFT technique.
Are we on?
You are, yes, sir.
Okay, well, the way I use it most often when in the context of our group or in the work is if somebody's doing a worksheet and it triggers a really strong emotion and we ask them to breathe, if they're having trouble breathing, they're having trouble staying with the emotion, we ask them to start tapping while they stay focused on the emotion. Because we don't want to run away from it. We don't want to deny and suppress it. We want to let it come up. And the EFT, my view of it is that it's like giving yourself an acupressure treatment for anything that bothers you physically, mentally, or emotionally. And it's just making sure that the energy system is connected and flowing so that you're not denying and suppressing and locking things down, that you're actually letting yourself go back and remember the thing that's triggering the upset and the tears, whether it's a past memory or a current situation that's triggered something. And so it's, there are a number of times in the group over the past few years where people have started to choke up, and no matter how we support them and just say, well, breathe, they just get too choked up to keep going. And so we'll ask them if it's all right to tap, and then we'll tap with them. And the next thing you know, they're feeling more clear. They're more clear about the incident. They're more clear about the memory. And they can see it, but not see it or feel it as though they're in the middle of it right now. Part of the old worksheet process said, I now let go of my identification with my fear and hostility. That doesn't mean it instantly ends all my fear and hostility, but I go from the position of saying, I'm so angry, to saying, well, I'm here, and I'm aware of who I am, and I'm also aware of some energy of anger. It's not my whole identity. And that's one of the things that I have found over the years that really happens with the EFT tapping. It gets people grounded in the moment and lets them feel that there's an energy flowing, but that doesn't have to overcome them or shut them down. They don't have to lock it down, deny it, and suppress it, because as you know, that just means they're going to have to deal with it again later, only stronger because now they've added more energy to it. So that's my short summary on EFT and why I teach it to everybody who's willing to learn.
Cool. And Tim, how would you explain, I know I have an understanding of it, but how would you explain why people move from that lost in it into being able to kind of observe it when they do the tapping work?
Well, I think because they are, there's a part of the brain that doesn't do any marking of time. Some people call it the reptilian brain, some people call it the unconscious, and so if it gets activated, it can feel as though this is happening to me right now. Maybe it was a traumatic memory or an intense emotion from when I was 8 years old. Well, if I take my 57-year-old adult hand and tap on my 57-year-old eyebrow and the side of my eye and under my eye, it's a reminder that I'm here and this is an energy from the past. It's also using my energy system, stimulating it to remove blockages. A lot of times people think about acupuncture and they think that they put needles in acupuncture and they're doing something to block an energy flow. It's the reverse. When they put a needle in a meridian for acupuncture, they tap it, they spin it, or they burn herbs off the end of it as an attempt to stimulate the flow of energy through that meridian. And so we're doing the same thing with the tapping. We're trying to stimulate the energy flow to feel it, express it, and move through it rather than deny it and suppress it. So I think it grounds me in the moment. I think it activates my energy system, and it stimulates any place. If I'm tapping on all 12 or 14 different meridian points, it stimulates the meridian to help the energy move through where it might be blocked.
So opening the blocks becomes the key.
Yes.
And so it actually, in effect, becomes kind of a physical form of forgiveness, an energetic form of forgiveness.
Yeah, and it aids the movement of energy, which is then, connected to the thought I have, which is producing the unpleasant emotion, which I feel I have to lock down and deny and suppress. And if I move the energy and it begins to process, it fades without having to be denied and suppressed, because I'm literally facing it and letting the healing process be engaged. It's keeping me more present. It's expanding my awareness that I'm a 57-year-old who's remembering thoughts and feeling the emotions I had when I was 8. Not, here I'm a 57-year-old and all of a sudden I'm in a panic and I don't know why.
Good explanation. Thank you. Gracias. So does that seem to satisfy the question in the chat room, Jeanie? Have any other comment from that person? And or any other comments or callers?
They just asked if, Dr. Tim, if they could have your email and or your website. So if you want to, and Tim just put his address into the chat room, so he's ahead of me there. And I typed in there that I have actually experienced the EFT with Dr. Tim, and it's an awesome experience that definitely complements this work.
Yeah, and Dr. Tim's website, for anybody that's not in the chat room, is www.c, I don't remember exactly.
It's CH and the number 4, CS.com. And then there's his blog is www.ccandf.blogspot.com. And we also have a link to his stuff on their website, too, if you go to links.
Cool. Yeah, you can listen to a couple of audio tracks of things that Dr. Tim has done around the work on stress and Sunday services at the Unity Center there. And so And every Tuesday night, if you're in Woodstock, Illinois, just up the northwest side of Chicago, Dr. Tim has a support group that is just ongoing 6 years. It's awesome to hear the miracles that happen in the support group. So accolades and acknowledgement to you, Dr. Tim, for what you're doing for people and what you're doing for the work and supporting us, too.
Well, right back at you. It's a pleasure to be on the team.
Cool. And there also, let's see, I guess it's about a week, maybe 10 days ago, you can go back into the archives on the radio show, and I was flying from St. Louis to Florida, and Dr. Tim did the show, and lots of wonderful comments on your explanations of the tools that people got from a different perspective. So it's definitely nice to have you here, and you can tap into Dr. Tim's show from about 10 days ago just by going to the archives.
Well, as long as you're on it, I might mention that a week from this Sunday on the 29th, I've been asked to do the sermon at Unity again at the Unity Spiritual Center of Woodstock, and I'm going to be combining your purpose, personal power, and commitment, that how to define your secondary purpose, with another couple of different ways to choose your life purpose, and that'll be the focus of that talk. So.
Cool. You're becoming a regular there.
We're spreading the word, getting the tools into more hands.
That is what it's all about. That is the commitment is to give it to people who will give it to people, and so we appreciate you doing that. So, Jeanie, anything else happening in the chat room? Any questions or callers?
One person says, I think it is the allowance of the passage of memory so that it is no longer trapped. All is a form of energy. The emotion is a part of the memory and has the most power. Once the power is passed, then the memory can be addressed without fear.
Yeah, diffuse the energy, and all you have left is the insane thought behind it, and you get to change the insane thought, let it go, forgive it, and on with the creative process. So it's a powerful way to change a life.
There's no other comments or questions. I would ask that everyone who knows Brad in Greensboro, North Carolina, he's doing 2 support groups for us there. And actually yesterday on his Facebook he put, today has been difficult and I have nothing left to give. And there was a lot of people that came back with a lot of support of love and everything to him and for him. And today the only update he's given is a sad face. And so everybody uplift him and send some love his direction. We all have those ups and downs. And he's going through a challenging time right now. And I find that, when we are getting ready to teach something, especially in doing a support group, that we get to face whatever it is we're getting ready to teach. And sometimes that's not fun.
Absolutely. We need to get Brad calling you the show. And let us support him.
Yeah. I'll send him a message to do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we're down to about a minute.
Very cool. Well, we're down to just about a minute left, less than a minute. And so we'll just remind you once again that Boca Raton, the Heart Painter Studio, 5 o'clock. Come and play in Boca Raton, Florida. And then starting Sunday, a week of workshops in Sarasota. Then in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing some writing, and then we're at Harmony Spiritual Center in Tampa, Ocala. Check the calendar, www.whyagain.com, and you'll find all of those dates and what we're doing, the schedules. The intensive starts April the 6th. Come and join us and create the best year yet of your eternal life. Blessings.
Thank you for listening to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie, who present the internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeanie are here every Monday through Friday on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.